Hey everyone, it's Hunter here at Weather on the Go on this Thursday, August the 14th, 2025, and we are going to be talking about severe weather and with damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes in this forecast. We're also going to be looking ahead to Tropical Storm Erin that is likely to strengthen into a major hurricane over the next few days, where it will track, what impacts could it bring. We're going to answer later on in the video. Today is National Birthdays and Events Day, so if you have a birthday, obviously you do, what birthday do you have? What date is it? And let me know in the comment section down below this video. If you do enjoy these straightforward, accurate, life-saving weather updates across the United States, southern Canada, and the tropics, make sure to subscribe to my channel, as in during the active weather periods we do 2-a-days, and obviously we do daily forecast updates every single day for the most part. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Let's get into the forecast here and talk temperatures, because it's going to be a hot one across the plains today, with temperatures ticketed for the upper 90s in many areas from South Dakota southward into Texas, triple digits even possible as well, and then obviously into the desert Southwest, we're more into the triple digits here over there. And looking at our temperatures as we even extend it into tomorrow, you can see those 90s, triple digits pushing a little bit further east toward the Mississippi River, humidity starting to rise across the upper Midwest there as we go into tomorrow. And then for Saturday and Sunday, it's going to be pretty hot there in the Midwest, but a boundary will separate the cooler weather to the north and the hot and humid weather to the south, and even cause some storm chances we'll talk about here as well. We do have a chance for severe weather this afternoon and evening, my friends, in eastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota. In yellow, that's where scattered severe thunderstorms are possible. In the dark green, that is a threat for isolated severe weather from Minnesota down into South Dakota and parts of west Nebraska, even extending into northeastern Colorado today. And we're looking at the main threat being 60-mile-per-hour winds or greater. That obviously can cause some damage as far as tree branches are concerned, possibly knocking down some power lines, so power outages are possible as well. And then we look at the threat for destructive hail. You can see it outlined in black here, especially for eastern North Dakota into northwestern Minnesota, where we could see hailstones up to tennis ball size this afternoon and this evening. So make sure to have your car under a garage, for example, a carport, because that could do some serious damage to your vehicle. And we look at the potential for a low-end tornado risk. It's a 2% chance, but it's not zero. So if you live in eastern North Dakota, northwest Minnesota, in the green there, that's a 2% chance of tornadoes, and that's within a 25-mile radius of any given point in and around this area. Extending into the end of the week on Friday, August 15th, and you can see another dark green area from Wisconsin and the western UP of Michigan, stretching back through Minnesota, northern Iowa, South Dakota there. That is an isolated threat for severe weather. An upgrade to a yellow area means scattered severe thunderstorms would be possible. I do think that would be a possibility there in parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, and western Wisconsin if confidence increases, and we'll see what the Storm Prediction Center does. And the main threat tomorrow will be damaging winds and hail. The tornado threat is less than 2% in all areas across the United States. Let's look at the central United States view like we do always. First, we'll look at the eastern U.S. second and the western U.S. third. In the blue, that's your sunshine, and the white is your cloud cover, and the green, that is your precipitation or reflectivity on radar. So here at noon, we got a couple showers across portions of Minnesota, trailing down there into central Iowa near Des Moines. And as we go into the afternoon, those showers will be progressing further east into eastern Minnesota, western Wisconsin near La Crosse and Rochester, Minnesota. Watching out for that. Additional storms will be firing off into the front range of the Rockies back there in eastern Colorado. Those will take a run at Nebraska and Kansas as we go into overnight tonight, so this is after dark, and a few of those could pose a risk again for some large hail and a few tornadoes, but I think the tornado threat is really maximized up here in eastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota at 2%. That's where the wind shear is stronger. Starting off the day on Friday, we got some storms up and around the Arrowhead of Minnesota back there into central Minnesota and South Dakota. And as we go into the afternoon, we're going to see more scattered development of storms. And again, scattered is the word. I mean, not everybody's going to see these. It's about 40-50% coverage of the area here into the upper Midwest. But a few of those could pose a risk again for 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and an isolated tornado threat, in addition to locally heavy downpours. In the eastern United States here, we got some sunshine across the Ohio Valley down into the southeast. Finally seeing some sunshine at times in in the southeast, even if it's just mix of sun and clouds. But it's nice to see the sun after what has been a very active August so far down there. And as we go into the afternoon, it will be active again. There will be some thunderstorms, but there will be peaks of sun in between. So we're definitely going to be seeing some sunshine there. So it's not completely cloudy sky, but we are definitely seeing some storms popping up. Heat of the day, once the sun sets down here in the southeast, the storms will decrease in coverage and intensity. Starting the day on Friday, a lot of us in the east are going to be quiet. In fact, a lot of us starting off mostly clear to partly cloudy. And as we go through the day on Friday, that's what we'll see is a partly cloudy skies, which is mix of sun and clouds. We'll see those pulse-type thunderstorms. They pulse up in the afternoon with their intensity and their coverage, which would be scattered. And then once the sun sets again, just like clockwork, we will see the storms' the coverage and intensity decrease once we go into the mid and late evening hours there on Friday. Western U.S., we have lots of partly cloudy skies out here as well today, and that is going to foster a lot of thunderstorm activity, I do believe, across the Four Corners region into Wyoming, Nevada, eastern portions of Idaho. A lot of areas that could see some locally heavy downpours late this afternoon and into early this evening. Heading into the overnight hours, the coverage of those will start to decrease. Showers are expected in Seattle as we go into overnight tonight, and then as we start the day tomorrow, we're going to see more showery activity for Washington State, Seattle over there, watching out for Olympia there into Washington State, and then some thunderstorm activity. Eastern Arizona up into eastern Utah to start the day on Friday. That will ignite more storms in a more numerous fashion across the Rockies, Wyoming, Utah, and much of the Four Corners region as we go into Friday afternoon again and then into Friday evening. Rainfall is going to be few and far between across the southeast. That's typically what you see with these summertime patterns. With, down the road 10 miles, you could get an inch of rain with a thunderstorm. You go the opposite way 10 miles and you don't see a drop of rain. That's kind of what we're looking at in the southeast. Upper Midwest, we're seeing some type of loosely organized storms across Minnesota into Wisconsin. That could drop a quarter, half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain. We got monsoonal flow on the western flanks here across the Four Corners region. Again, a spot or two could see a couple of inches of rain, and then very heavy rain up towards Seattle, where we could be talking a couple inches, 2 to 3 inches between now and 7 a.m. on Saturday, August 16th. Looking at Saturday, August 16th to start the weekend, and no severe weather is expected currently at this time anywhere across the United States. That's great news, but I think that area could change. There's a lot of instability starting to build up here into the upper Midwest for Saturday and Sunday. The thing is, there's not going to be a lot of wind shear, so it's going to be a high cape, low shear environment, but that could still create maybe a microburst type of threat up there into the upper Midwest. A microburst is a storm that develops and kind of collapses on itself, and the wind kind of, fans out in all directions once it reaches the surface of the earth. You can see there is some thunderstorm activity Saturday and into Sunday up here. Nothing too terribly organized. It's going to be more isolated to scattered for severe weather, but there will be a threat that will take us through 7 a.m. on Monday morning, and there will be a threat for some heavy rainfall. So make no mistake about it. South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan are the same areas that have been seeing the rain and will be the same areas that see the rain as we go through 7 a.m. on Monday, August 18th, with a couple inches there. Long range part of the forecast into next week, Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd. Big ridge of high pressure is expected across the Four Corners region and much of the south central Rockies, and that will foster well above normal temperatures out there. So expect the heat to continue out west, and some of that will bleed east at times as well toward the Mississippi River Valley. Our precipitation is mainly the Mississippi River on eastward or north of the U.S.-Canadian border. That is the forecast we're going with into next week. Drier underneath that ridge. The closer you get to that in the Four Corners region, the drier it will be. Now, looking at next week, there will be some storm energy around to potentially produce some low-end severe weather. And when I say low-end severe weather, a marginal or slight risk day. It's a 1 out or 2 out of 5. Nothing too terribly high and too terribly organized either expected. There will be some more rainfall, and again, you see these familiar areas: Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and then maybe bleeding down into portions of Indiana and Ohio, Pennsylvania that could see that, but the main storm track will be in southern Canada, and then out west closer to the ridge axis, that's where we're going to see less rainfall, but there still could be some moisture underneath of that ridge with those pulse type thunderstorms during the afternoons. Now let's look at Tropical Storm Erin. Very impressive look on the satellite view here across the western main development region of the Atlantic Basin. You can see a lot of deep convection with this as the overshooting tops are around 50,000-60,000 feet here, and you can see where that system is. Again, the western main development region of the Atlantic Basin, and this is closing in on the Leeward Islands, and the expectation is this system is expected to go north of the Leeward Islands as we go into the weekend. So a hurricane is expected as soon as Friday morning around 8 a.m., which would be a Category 1, and then rapid intensification here as it moves west-northwestward there north of Puerto Rico to a major Category 3 hurricane, and perhaps a Category 4 hurricane once it moves east of the Bahamas, cutting between the Bermuda Island there and the Bahama Islands. So right now it is maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. Movement is due west at 17 miles per hour. So we look here at this system, again, very healthy look on the satellite imagery, but as it moves continuously further to the west, it's going to be moving into a more thermodynamic parameter space that is, again, very favorable for rapid intensification in the southwest Atlantic Basin here over the next few days. And look at the water temperatures out here. They are well above the historical average of what we should see here in mid-August, and there is no surprise the model guidance is in, basically in the same boat here. Category 3, low-end Category 4 with intensity. Once that rapid intensification does take place, that's where it's likely to go over the next few days north of Puerto Rico. So here is the European model, and you can see east of the Leeward Islands, we have a tropical storm. It's a strong tropical storm, again, 60 mile per hour right now, moving west to 17. As we go to the weekend, we can see that intensifying to a Cat 1 and 2 hurricane north of Puerto Rico, and then eventually cutting between the eastern Bahamas there, getting very close to the Bahama Islands there on the eastern side, and then getting close also to Bermuda at times as it makes that turn. And again, that could be a Category 3 or 4 hurricane. Now we look at the GFS, the American model guidance, and it's very similar and kind of cutting it a little bit closer to Bermuda than the European model shows, but nonetheless, that is the expectation. The ensemble guidance on the European guidance suite is actually still curving all of this out to sea. All 100% of the members are curving this out to sea, and likely a Cat 3-4 hurricane. You can see the GFS ensemble is a little bit further west, so we got to watch this western tick, but I do feel that this is going to be off the east coast of the United States, so indirect impacts as far as rip current risks, rough surf, and swelling of the wave heights are still possible off the east coast of the U.S. We have to watch that, of course, but the main wind field with the hurricane force winds are going to be well offshore the east coast of the United States, which is some great news. Now, looking here at another system that could develop west of the Yucatan there in the southwest Gulf, 20% chance, very low right now, a probability. Remember, yesterday we were talking a 10% chance. Now it's up to a 20%. So we got to keep an eye on this as we go over the next few days. The East Pacific Basin has quieted down. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is not expecting any tropical cyclone activity over here over the next week, over the next 7 days. So that's some great news as well. Before we go, let's look at the long range part of the forecast for late August and the first few days of September. A formidable cold front will be dropping out of southern Canada and diving south, pretty far south actually, for this time of year, and this could bring equal chances of above or below normal temperatures to much of the north central U.S. Warmer, of course, out west, warmer, of course, down to the south and east. We look at the precipitation, it is trending drier, so behind that front, it's going to be causing a high pressure system to develop, and high pressure systems bring sinking air, so drier weather across the Great Lakes region, Ohio Valley, and parts of the Northeast. Wetter with monsoonal flow in Arizona and southwest New Mexico, and then along the Gulf Coast, tropical interest could bring above normal precipitation from Houston all the way to New Orleans and Panama City and the Big Bend of Florida. So above normal precipitation between August 23rd and September 5th is expected down there. Thank you all for watching. If you found this video very informative for you, helpful, and life-saving, make sure to subscribe to my channel. As again, for active weather, we do 2-a-days, and just in general. We do daily weather forecast breakdowns right here on my channel. So subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it throughout, and also share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. You have any comments? I want to hear from you. Comment in the comment section down below the video, and I will respond to as many as I can. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Thursday out there.